Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chats. Marvellous Monday. Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are. If you think it's Get Rich Quick, you're in the wrong place. This is the wrong podcast. This is the wrong life for you. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well.
Good morning, team. Wednesday morning. Here we go again for another round of Wealth Coffee Chats. Hope you are well wherever you're tuning in, and hope you got a nice cup of coffee. Join me here on a Wednesday morning. Yes, it's not Jason Winton today, your regular host for Wealth Coffee Chats. I'll do a bit of the intros and say good morning to a few people that are jumping on already. Good morning, Luke. Good to see you. Margaret's on as well. Awesome. The infamous Facebook user, whoever you might be. Good morning to you. Team, yes, Wednesday morning, about 10 past 8. We are jumping on. My name is Cash Shostad, representing the property management team as part of the Six Star Group here at Positive and R&W. And, on a Wednesday morning, if you haven't seen us around, we chat all things property management. And here at the property management team, we've got a bit of a tagline, keep you safe, make you wealthy. And that's what it's all about. And hopefully, for those that have been joining in on a Wednesday morning, have been, taking away some lessons in and around the make you wealthy part. We've been chatting about rents and what they've done, what they're going to do, how do we maximize that. We've tried to put some framework or start to put some framework around what that might look like for you as the investor, which has been a great conversation, something I've really enjoyed. Good morning to you, James. Good to see you. And, I thought I'd switched up today. I was actually watching Sam on Wealth Coffee Chat, it was last Thursday. And I think one of you guys had sort of questioned and asked about the rental reforms up here in Queensland specifically. And it's a good topic to unpack. And there is a new bill that was introduced only a few weeks ago, back in March. And I thought we'd have a bit of a conversation about that today. Don't worry if you've got a property in the other states. This is absolutely relevant to you as well. So we're going to unpack that today. So what I thought I'd start with, team, stage 2 of the rental reforms in Queensland. Let me know in the chat who here has a property in Queensland. They'll just give me some context to what you guys might be experiencing. Luke's online. I know, Luke, you've got one coming in a week or so. So we've definitely got him on this morning, which is cool. But pop it in the chat, team. If you've got a property in Queensland, let me know. Even if you've got a property interstate and you've gone through some rental reforms from your state governments there as well, just let me know. Let me know if there's been any effect, any changes that you've seen. It'd be good to get an idea of that, where you're at. I'm getting a big old thumbs up from the Facebook user. Awesome. So, Margaret says I've got Spark Street. Oops, clicked the wrong button there. Sorry, Margaret. Spark Street gem site, absolutely. And look, team, for most of you guys, you might not have felt an effect on the rental reforms because in stage 1, and again, if you have property interstate, you've probably already gone through this 1 or 2 years earlier than Queensland has in regards to minimum standards. And I know a lot of you guys here today have purchased property that are basically brand new development. And with that, all those sort of products come already meeting the minimum standards, which is great. So you don't have to worry about it. We can move on and have fun with holding property, right? So, stage 1 looked at minimum standards. It looked at some framework around renting with pets. And of course, it looked at ending tenancies fairly in relation to, the lessor not being able to deliver a no grounds termination notice. So that was kind of stage 1. We got through that pretty easily. I would have thought nothing changed too much. Obviously, some questions were raised probably from investors. If you look at some older property, then of course, they've had some time to get their skates on and meet minimum standards. But for the most part, you guys have been okay. So stage 2, the question was, what is it? What does it mean to me? How will it affect me? What do I need to do? So we're going to try and have a look at that today. Now, there's probably 8 to 10 bullet points, guys, on the proposed stage 2 rental reforms here in Queensland. And like I said, if anything, my opinion is that, states like down in Victoria, New South Wales to that most part as well, have already gone through this stuff. So, it's nothing necessarily new. It's nothing necessarily as a investor, as a landlord, we need to just worry about. It's just more being aware. And it's back to that tagline of keep you safe and make you wealthy. And the keep you safe part is ensuring that your property management team are very well aware of what's going on, and for you as the landlord. So stage 2, does anyone want to let me know, have a crack, who's read it, what it's about? So I want to pop in the chat. Any ideas what stage 2 of the rental reforms here in Queensland? The bill was passed last month. What do we think, team? What has been included? Good morning, Aaron. Good to see you on. Oh, I love the emojis. Must be it is a sunny day out there. Hope it is for you as well. Awesome, team. Stage 2. One of the things I know I'm quite passionate about is the CPD. So if you haven't sort of heard of that, education in the property management industry or the real estate industry for that matter, I think we need to raise the bar. And I think if we are able to raise the bar as a unit, then obviously I think, investors are going to get better results. So one of the things they've proposed that's going to be coming into place is for all real estate agents in Queensland to meet continuing professional development. So that might mean attending seminars, that might mean, different sort of training and education things that they can do. Now, if you're in New South Wales, you're already doing this, right? I came from New South Wales, and when I came to Queensland, it just wasn't a thing. And you thought, what's going on here, right? So, I think that will raise the education level of your property manager, which is going to, I guess, allow you as the investor to win more. So number 1, CPD for all agents, right? Super important. We need to raise the industry standard there. Some of the other things, team, and I'll just quickly share my screen and hopefully you can see that okay. I know that's probably not coming through as clear. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up in the chat, team, if you can see that okay. I'll try and make that a little bit bigger if I can. I can't, so we'll run with that, team, and I'll read it out if you can't see it. But stage 2, there's a couple of things in here that won't, we can sort of gloss over and move on. But alterations to property, so allowing the tenant to have a look at things. Now, some investors will say, Cass, well, what do you mean? What are they going to do to my property without permission? Team, we're just going to highlight the safety and security aspect. I think for a lot of you guys that have bought A-grade property, relatively new, you've already met minimum standards, there's probably not going to be too much for the tenant to really alter. So just have a think about it like that. But probably the biggest part is the rent component here, team. So again, like in other states, they've already moved this way. But, in Queensland now, there's no such thing as rent bidding. We cannot ask for a rental figure higher than the listed price online. So if we're advertising at $700 per week, there's no conversation. It's not accepted to try and get $725 out of the marketplace through that question or negotiation. So it's just being aware, team. And I think through CPD, through understanding the framework and the I guess around how we can achieve the maximum rent on the market and put the most dollars back in your pocket, I think you need to understand like how we actually price. A few weeks ago we spoke about sort of maybe how we arrive at that appraisal figure, but again there's a bit of a tactic and strategy to sort of what figure we're putting online, because I'm sure no one wants to leave $1 on the table, but again we need to just be very well aware. Taking rent in advance greater than statutory limits can no longer be accepted. Does anyone know the limits on rent in advance up in Queensland? A couple of questions here. Not sure if Margaret's putting a thumbs up to that question, or maybe that was a bit before. But team, we can only ask for rent in advance up to a month up in Queensland, right? So again, it's just being very, very well aware of these frameworks in place. But team, look, we know that we can only increase rent on an annual basis now. And it's 12 months from the last rental increase. And the proposed bill is looking at basically to attach that to the property, not necessarily to the tenancy. So, the question would be if I get an application and that tenant is looking for 6 months, then, what does that what does that look like? So, again, we need to be just careful how we price it. Maybe we don't take 6 months leases anymore, right? Got to be well aware of that. Things like, tenant requesting, I found this one quite interesting, but the tenant requesting evidence from the last rental increase, right? If they seek a copy of the lease agreement or the tenant ledger from the last tenancy to understand and identify that last rental increase, as the agency, we've got to supply that in that space. Luke says, when do these rules come in? So stage one in relation to minimum standards, Luke, that stuff is coming in. It's already in place now for new tenancies, but anyone on old tenancies got to have it done by, I think it's the 1st of September this year they've got to. So, if we've got any property that doesn't meet it, we're definitely having conversations right now on what we need to do to get that done. I don't think I saw a timeline in the statement, Luke, in relation to when these stage 2 laws come in, but some of them are kind of already in place. So, for example, it says here the tenant must provide. We must provide the tenant with at least one fee-free method to pay rent. Like, we're already doing that. So some of these things I just move across and sort of get going from there. So, things around entry team, having the 24-hour notice, pushing out to 48 hours, which again, it's not a big deal in reality, team. So, when we look at that rental reform, some of these things are just operational stuff that we just need to tweak. It's not necessarily going to affect, the investor on a long-term thing. Privacy, for example, here, only prescribed information and documents can be requested from the tenant. That might mean, when the tenant applies for the property. Down in Melbourne, right now we can't legally ask for a bank statement, right? So just things like that, again, to be aware of. And then obviously, bond, having supporting evidence when you're making a claim. Now, this sort of stuff, again, is quite normal, in my opinion. I guess for someone who works in there every day, it's this sort of stuff. It's just providing a little bit of extra framework. And again, I think if you can raise the bar with the education and stuff like that, then obviously things come to fruition a lot easier. I think there's a lot more happy people, which is great. So, when you look at that stuff, team, it can be a lot. And, what does it mean to you? Well, what I would say is, number one, yes, be aware of it. But number two, ensure your property manager is aware of it, right? And that they are, playing by the rules, so to speak. Because I think, there's going to be an element of anyone that is self-managing not going to want to do it anymore because there's a lot going on. But I think, what is the consequence when we don't get this stuff right? Right? What is the consequence to the investor, to the property manager, if we are trying to get higher rents than the listed price online when we're not supposed to? What are the consequences if we don't have the right entry condition reports and we don't have that documentation to support any bond claims, right? A lot of that stuff, team, would come down to, informed decisions, poor decisions from the property management team and the investor. There's restricted growth, right? You can't raise your rent as high because you haven't really got a strategic plan in place. And that's what we'll be talking about, that make wealthy part over the last few weeks. But it's all this sort of stuff, team, is just about keeping you safe. Have someone on board that knows what they're doing, has got some process in place to keep things, on a tight ship, so to speak. Some of this stuff, team, when we don't know what we're asking for, if we don't know how to attract the right tenant at the right price, it just means you're going to have a poor tenant, right? You're going to have a poor experience. What I have found over 13 years doing this, I suppose, is when that gets too far down the track, it's quite harder to save. And ultimately, you as the landlord, you as the investor, you might lose out on some revenue. You probably create some stress for yourself. In 10 to 15 years holding property, team, is a long time to, not win, if that makes sense. So, some of that stuff, team, you just find ultimately it's going to cost you out of your back pocket. And then from there, I see a lot of investors just give up. So, our team here, we're trying to move forward. We want to understand this stuff. We think CPD is great for the industry to raise the bar. And essentially, it's all about keeping you safe and making you wealthy, team. And if we can do that, then there's less financial risk for you as the investor. You're going to get a better experience, better quality tenant. You're certainly going to have less stress, less headaches. That's for sure. I'm sure no one here wants that. And, ultimately, team, you win. Over 13 years, I've seen it. When it goes wrong, team, what tends to happen is people will just give up. and end up selling the property, right? Because holding costs and too much of the headaches get in the way of what you're actually trying to achieve. So, team, overall with rental reforms, look, it's good. It's have a bit of a read. If you want to jump on REIQ, have a look at that. Like I said, if you've got property in Melbourne, New South Wales, what you actually find is those states have already moved towards a lot of this framework, probably a year or two prior to Queensland. So, Queensland just kind of following suit of what's already come. And, if you're already meeting minimum standards, you're probably in a good spot, team. So hope that has helped. Hopefully that answered the question from last week, like what are the stage 2 rental reforms? Where do you find that? Like I said, jump on REIQ, team, or your particular relevant state. Obviously, you can shoot any questions through if you have anything on that. But team, it's about not giving up. It's about keeping you safe, making you wealthy. I think I'll pause there for a Wednesday on Wealth Coffee Chats. Hopefully that's been helpful, team. There's a bit of information there. Hopefully that's relevant. So, team, thanks again. Jason will be back tomorrow for another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you enjoy your Wednesday, team. Thanks very much.
Another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6 Star team here at positivementor.com.au.